So, I know in my initial reaction to Vadi's extended look at Armored Core 6 that I was kind of, well, it was a little bit quiet. Mainly because I was trying to absorb the information he was saying, while at the same time just thinking of the many possibilities. But now that I have time to sit down and actually look at the footage multiple times, I decided let's take another quick look and I might give a little more of my own personal input. Why does my input matter? Well, it doesn't have to matter to you, but I've played the majority of Armored Core 1, 3, and 4, and a lot from soft games, so Plus, mainly, I've just been bored, and honestly, I just want Armored Core in right now. But it's sadly, as of today, it's still around 2 months till it comes out. So here we go. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this gameplay again, and I'm just gonna give like a little more of my own commentary. Once again, thank you to Vtuber for allowing me to react to this. So I'll notice one thing is that the footage in this video is in the first half, or at least the first 1/3 of it, kind of oddly muted. That's weird. I don't think that reflects on the game, but I think that's just the editing. Turn this up a little bit, and yeah, that's about it. It's weird. It's weird. So first thing I did take definitely note is, off the bat, even going by as the first initial gameplay demo that we were shown, this is definitely more so feeling of a mix of Forza 4 and a bit of 3 in terms of the heavy feeling, but you still are very much a very speedy robot. Maybe not from ground to skybox in like 5 seconds, but the fact that you are getting so much airtime already as it is just speaks that, okay, you're going to be able to have freedom. And I'm going to assume that this is... I'm going to assume that this is the starter Armored Core unit that we will initially get, or at least early game. At least early game. Other thing to point out that I think is what's tickling me is the layout of this area, because it feels like you can definitely go over here to the left, while at the same time the demo mainly goes to the right, where we're going to see some of the conflict. Now, the question is like, what exactly is the limits of freedom that we are given? We don't know, but considering of how much we are allowed to even boost and just have some pretty good airtime, just speaks worse to me of how much that these levels are probably going to be much bigger. So I'm very interested to see how the mission structure is going to be, because we heard before that these mission structures are apparently somewhat checkpointed, or at least if you die, you go back to your garage. We'll touch upon that a bit later. Maybe. I don't know. So we're getting a bit overview, and then right into the fight, we see him flying forward. We hear the soft lock on. He starts firing the soft rockets, peppering the area, goes for the melee, does a dash to the left, dodging the missiles, does a back attack, skips forward a bit, dodges that attack, does a missile barrage, sees the enemies up there, takes the jump pad, which is, in hindsight, a good thing, because platforming in Armored Core before was very frustrating. No, I'm not going to touch upon it. Go watch Vadi's like hour-and-a-half long video about Armored Core games. Platforming, unless it's like huge surfaces, was not a forte for this game. I don't care who defends it, it was dumb. So he destroys this first one. And then I think he stuns this one right here. Stuns. And that is like the single most satisfying thing of this trailer so far. It's just a kick. I will say this definitely feels like probably one of the actually, I think this is the most melee heavy I've seen of any Armored Core. Personally. I still need to see more of it, but considering by both the gameplay trailers I've seen, this definitely speaks volumes that they want you to sometimes get up and close. So the sound of the trailer is a little bit better. We're going forward. We see a trash enemy right up ahead. He's easy to kill. Just pop, pop, pop. But the one thing to note is... The one thing to really note is the hard lock on. So a lot of people are a bit on the fence with the hard lock on. I think it's a good thing. It's crazy that they weren't going to have a hard lock on, considering if you definitely played Souls or anything, and I know some Armored Core fans hate the mentioning of Souls. It's dumb not to think that they weren't going to add what they know from that series into this series. It just works. It's going to make more tighter experiences probably better. Now, remains to be seen of how much of these experiences are going to be, considering we only got a taste, and we don't even know what the UI looks like, but it's silly to think that we weren't going to get some aspects. And it is noted that, I'm going to keep playing forward a bit more, that we do have a means of healing now. Which is essentially, okay, we're going to talk about that here in a second. Essentially, great fighting. Essentially, like, we have eventually 3 repair kits on a robot that instant repairs certain things. Apparently, they will have a cost. I'm going to assume it's going to cost credits. The main thing I question is, can we get that resupplied? I'm going to assume probably yes. This is probably going to make certain engagements a little bit less stressful. The big overall thing that I am thinking of how this is all being treated is that these levels are going to be bigger. These missions and levels are just going to be bigger to deal with. We're going to have more scripted, chaotic fights that are probably going to have to make us either learn how to dodge or learn how to tank. And for instance, we see this shield, which, and going off of the body's information, is a timed shield where the initial burst is the strongest of your defense will be. Now, I don't know if this implies you will take chip damage still through the shield, or that I'm going to assume that this shield is using energy as it's being shot, so maybe you don't want it to constantly be up, because essentially energy is stamina, which is another thing people once again want to compare to Souls. But if you go back to even prior Armored Core games, energy was already technically a form of stamina, so I don't get the logic here. So this is something I personally said in the last video of, man, couldn't this probably be abused, is the radar, which lets you see through walls. I remember in the other initial gameplay trailer, it looks like that person's radar was a lot more spread out. I'm going to assume that the more range part that you put on your AC unit, the more of a cost of cooldown it's going to be, and probably the consumption of the energy it's going to use. I'm going to see, probably even when it comes to AC versus AC combat, where we're going to probably see close quarter maps, and that visibility is going to play a key thing, especially with the lock-ons now. And that, oh no, I lost the enemy. I'm going to quickly use my quick burst, see if it's even close to me. Oh no, they're not close to me. Okay, then they definitely got away. Or, oh shoot, they're trying to get like a distance. Or maybe I'm dealing with someone who's long-ranged, and then I would probably want to know exactly where that long-range person is, because they're probably not going to get close towards to me, and I probably want to get close towards them. So I might equip a large one. So I could definitely see this playing a factor as well, and probably, you know, just general just general usage of, you know, looking around, trying to find the enemy, because things are, while they're also faster, you also want to keep track of your enemies. And I'm going to assume we're going to see some crazy speed, because, like, yeah, we're just going to see some crazy, like, speed builds and very hectic, fast bosses. So here again, we see the initial cannon fodder. Goes in, kills that one easily, does some air dashing, sees those two, peppers them with the missiles. Then he does like the boo, boo. I love that so much, just like that air dashing, and then the kick to seal the deal. I love this part. I'm probably going to spend more than half an hour on this. It's the garage. We definitely seen it. We see the stats down here. I hope that, I really, really sincerely hope that we have the crazy stat screens of before. Although I could totally see them dropping it. I hope they do not. I hope they do not. I hope we still get like the long stat screens. But these are generally all their basic information. I already talked about this a bit more slightly in detail in my other video. But yeah, we have our 4 main body pieces, we have our generators, we have our stuff. We have our weapons, we have our frames, we have the inner. We don't know about the expansions, but the expansions are going to be the X factor. I'm sorry if I'm covering some of this as well. I don't want to move. This is meant to be a quicker video than most, but I'm going to keep talking. Expansion packs, apparently I'm going to assume is going to be the X factor. I'm going to assume, and I'm going to use once more Souls analogy, or at least Elden Ring, is they're going to be like probably Great Ruins, but I'm thinking they're going to be better than Great Ruins because you could probably do some crazy stuff. I'm hoping that there's a lot of expansion slots. I'm hoping that they are that they give like an AC a more of a powerful gimmick maybe. I don't know. I think Vati did mention before what they exactly were, at least what some of them could do. But yeah, I'm going to assume that there's going to be an X factor. I personally hope that there's not going to be the overall, the meta one that you're a bad player if you don't have this one. I'm going to... Granted, FromSoft is kind of good at that, but again, people in this community are generally good at finding what can make you broken. But yeah, I just want to get my hands on this and just theory craft. Like, I could theory craft for hours of what you could probably make. Especially, even though we only have up to 4 of the main body frames, if we still have some good inners, there's just gonna be a lot to work with. I believe that we're gonna have a lot to work with. And of course, nice paint job. I have no idea what kind of color I want to go into. But yes. Oh, and now we have the mid-boss. The mid-boss showing much more of the speed of this fights. He's a lot faster, going crazier, spinning around. Not much to personally say other than, yeah, he's a faster fight. He tries to charge at you. Then this. So, he hits, he pushes, he's nudging the robot with every hit. I can't tell if it's staggered, but it's definitely being pushed around. I'm not sure, so this is where I'm going to question something here. Does weight of your AC determine if you'll be pushed or not? If I'm having a lighter build, I'm going to assume you're going to be nudged around a lot in comparison to, say, the heavy tank-treaded armored core units. Like, granted, now this is a boss. I'm going to not be surprised if you're one to definitely get a lot more push. Now, granted, once you get sick, that you're just like bam, bam, bam. It's stunning them a little bit. Maybe not outright staggering. Maybe not like outright staggering them, but you're definitely doing a lot of nudging and stun locking. And I'm going to assume that you are probably going to be able to be hit with the same way. Duels are going to be very interesting. I'm also thinking about this in the multiplayer aspect because I want to get my hands on more, I want to see AC combat versus AC combat, like, really bad. Hoping for a multiplayer trailer from Soft. Or, you know, more stuff. Maybe I look at the UI. Because a lot of the stuff I can't properly judge without seeing the UI. So here at the end, we have what is personally, to me, the most Souls-like. And I know people are going to hate me saying Souls-like, but it's a boss battle. Granted, it's probably not granted. This is the most animated I've ever seen the Armored Core, like, boss battle. At least in terms of something that's, like, bigger than you. So, looking at the fight, it looks like you are hitting, like, the main structure over there, which I think is doing additional damage because it seems like there's a bit more of an explosion, like you're hitting the oven inside of him. So look at this thing. Look at this thing. This thing, like, it's like a mining, smelting mech. It's so cool. Yeah, it just looks like you're doing critical damage. And then he does the concerto on you, and then you are stunned for, like, maybe a moment. I think I incorrectly said that before, that this guy didn't get staggered, but apparently that was the damage. That was some big damage he took. You kind of hear a bit of the beeps, maybe signaling that he took some damaging. He tries to charge. You could probably definitely do critical damage when you get up there and close as well. And that's the end of the footage after he goes. I'm assuming you died. Yeah. So, all in all, still good stuff. Still a lot of thoughts I want to get out here. I can't make this too long because considering the algorithm hates it when I do longer videos. But, God, I just can't wait. Like, even though some people are upset that the fact that this is taking some of their tropes from Soul series. And yes, I know there is still some concerns. I don't think it's going to be easier. You would be dumb if you think that this is going to be any easier as any Souls-like. Hell, even Armored Core 4 wasn't exactly as difficult as people like to make it out to be. Hell, even 3 wasn't difficult. 1 was pure bullshit, but at the same time, that's a different story. Plus, you could also argue that we're augmented human already in lore-wise, so we're already really good. The only one more thing I will touch upon is the fact of how this AC is turning on a dime. The fact that we are moving very fast and being able to turn very fast is a little bit like a question mark. But people who have done deeper theory looks, and I think that's a little bit too much to look at by frames. People going by frames at a certain, like, different build was able to turn slightly faster or slightly slower in comparison. I don't think we're going to get any of that information until we get our hands on that, but I could definitely see weight distribution being more of a thing. And plus, probably the legs play a bigger part of that than we think. But yeah, that's beside the point. I can't wait for Armored Core. I just want to talk more about Armored Core. I cannot wait. I'm going to be very excited. September is going to be a very busy month of me streaming this game and others. This year of gaming is good, guys. This year of gaming is good. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a good day and have a good night.